you were concerned that Bitcoin is a Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a little bit about that. Are you referring to the CIA and the NSA creating Bitcoin?
I am concerned
rug
about
pulling the public.
Well,
What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. So my thoughts on this is what they need for any new system is adoption. And the way that they get adoption is slowly at first and then faster and faster. So, I don't know exactly when, you came into Bitcoin.
2017.
2017. Okay. So I'd seen the ups and downs of it because I'd been paying attention to it for so long. And so they let it run and people go, woohoo, more people jump on the bandwagon, right? So I'm not really singling out Bitcoin, but it was the first one. And it's the one that was used to get adoption of the new digital age. And look at all the coins. I mean, let me tell you, do you know how much money I could have made? And the people, and Jacqueline is here. She's the president of my company. She's been with me forever. And the people that would call and say, oh, Lynette, just here's this coin and come and sit on our board and come in. And I'm like, have you listened to any of my work? Right? I mean, I couldn't in good faith do something like that. But what I'm talking about is as a Trojan horse, it was used in allowing it to run without any limitations is getting people to adopt. It's not just Bitcoin, but adopt the whole cryptocurrency ecosystem. I'm far more concerned about stable coins than I am about Bitcoin. Because
I'm with you on that.
Okay. And I'm telling you right now, people don't realize this. The monetary system changed when they passed that Genius Act. I'm wondering whose genius we're talking about here. But to get adoption and to get people to marry the system, that's what this is about, and allowing it to run, because people that buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, especially in the beginning, I don't know that it's as true today, but we have the same mindset. It's just like you were saying, we're aligned on a whole bunch of levels. So how much more money would have gone into gold? And it doesn't mean that it would be reflected in the price, because I can tell you for an absolute fact, 2009, before the central banks really got too heavily involved in derivative contracts, I was in the Bank for International Settlements that tracks global derivatives. And what I saw and counted, I didn't know print screen at that time, but what I saw and counted with my own eyes, for every 1 ounce of gold, there were 62,000 derivative ounces of gold. And that was 2009.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you think that has any impact on the visible price? Oh, this is what I also want to talk about, because it's so interesting. The beginning of this year in the US, most of the gold trading is just contracts. It's just a spot contract, whether it's 500 ounces or now the COMEX is taking it down to an ounce, because in any Ponzi scheme, you have to keep new money coming in, period. And so what I was seeing with that is, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Shit.
The derivatives, the manipulation of the spot price.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that with both gold and silver, because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency and a looming crisis. They want this to run because they want adoption. The higher it goes, the more people are watching, the longer they can sustain it, the more people adopt it. And it's kind of like, how do you catch a wild hog? Well, you put free food in the middle of a field and you wait. And the hogs come and they eat this free, easy food. And okay, everything's hunky-dory. Then you put up a fence. And at first, they'll stay away because this is unusual, right? Crypto winter. This is unusual. I don't know so much about it, but you keep putting that free food there. And after a few days, they don't see any change. So they come in and they start eating the food. And then you put up another side of that fence. And, maybe they're a little hesitant, but okay, that happened before, nothing bad happened, must be okay. And they come back for the free food. You put up a third side, same kind of thing, but hey, it's happened 2 other times and there's no big deal. So this must not be a big deal. Now you got all of the hogs in there eating all of this free food and boom, you put up that 4th side and you are done. And that's why you must be diversified.
Yes. And that's why it's very important if you own Bitcoin to hold your private keys. And I think what you just described is potentially what's taking place with these ETFs. Because if you own a Bitcoin ETF, you don't actually own Bitcoin. You own a claim to Bitcoin, but you don't own the Bitcoin. And I personally think that Bitcoin is increasing in value because more people are moving their economic energy into that network more so than it's being allowed to increase or encouraged by the powers that be, the proverbial overlords, to be adopted. I think initially there was...
You think they don't want adoption? Did I mishear something?
At this point, I think that they do.
Yeah,
with
they
the
totally
SBR
do.
And the ETFs. But I think originally that there was a pushback against Bitcoin. The China mining ban. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened there that were indicators to me that the government was adverse to this, but they can't stop it. And so if you have a free and open protocol with a decentralized ledger that cannot be corrupted, if that's true, then there is a game theory playing out where you have to adopt it or you're going to suffer if the world does. And it is a game, seemingly, a game theoretic shilling point, where it is the most logical place in the digital age to put your economic energy or your value if it cannot be corrupted, if it cannot be stolen, and it cannot be debased.
You know the challenge that I have?
I would love to hear it.
For me, this is so simple, right? It holds the energy and it's used everywhere. So you've got your broadest demand and all of that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a little engineer, let alone a crypto engineer where I actually can go in. It's great that it's open source, but if I go in and I look at that source, my eyes are going to glaze over and I'm going to go blank. And so it's just like the fiat money system. Nobody understands the fiat money system, so they can get away with it. And that is my main concern. That's my main concern. I have to be a specific kind of engineer to understand whether or not I'm being, pardon me, screwed.
Yeah, that makes sense. My thought process on that, because I'm not a software engineer myself, is that I run a node, which is software that I downloaded from the internet, which is open source, and some of the smartest, brightest people in the world today are checking that software, working on that software all the time. And so you could say I'm traveling quite far out on the risk curve with the trust there. But
right.
If that
it requires that trust.
It does. But if that ledger stays decentralized and secure and can't be corrupted, then would you agree that that is revolutionary and going to change things significantly? And that the financial system is going to reorganize itself around that, especially in the digital age?
I think that that's a possibility, and I hope that you're right. I'm just not an engineer to know if you are or not. Mm-hmm. And so I sit back because having studied this, I have a lot of patience. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if I'm 20 years too early. I just don't want to be 1 second too late. And I know what happens in these transitions. It is not a smooth transition. Everybody wants to think that it's just going to be, okay, we go from this system into this system. That's not how it works. I don't know. Maybe this time is different, but I've got 4,800 times of data that tells me that this time is not likely to be different. And so if I can hold my purchasing power, then that means that I'm in the position to take advantage of any opportunity that comes between this system and this system. And since I'm not an engineer, I like to keep things really, really, really simple. I do understand fiat money and how that works. It's where I've lived my life, understanding that piece. most people don't, but fiat money is really easy to understand if you just look at the purchasing power chart. I'm sorry, you gotta look at that chart.
I will.
Because that is probably the single most important chart that I ever look at. And I really pay close attention to that. Do I think it's 100% accurate? No. What do? They don't change behavior. They change formulas, right? That's what they do. But in their dishonesty, they're still telling you there's 3 cents left out of the original dollar. We have to get to zero. If Bitcoin, let's talk about stablecoins for a minute, because that to me is a much bigger risk about what's going on. And the system has changed. When they passed that law, the system has changed. What are stablecoins about? You always have to look at the name. They're not stable. They're based on the dollar. That is about developing a new artificial market, like the petrodollar created a new artificial market for dollars and treasuries in the 70s. Thank you, Henry Kissinger. I remember that. I remember it so clearly. Didn't really understand all the implications of it, but I remember that. And that's the problem that we're really dealing with now, is that there's no purchasing power left. We're shifting into a new system. The stable coins have ushered in that new system, but that's about creating an artificial market for debt and dollars and translating that directly to the public, and particularly in the third world countries, because they had the fastest adoption only because their currencies were in worse shape than the dollars were.
Yeah. So I'm with you on all that.
But what can you convert this into?
Well, I mean, personally, I was in El Salvador 3 times last year, and I was buying things in farmers markets. I'm buying tallow soap and grass-fed steaks and with Bitcoin direct.
Good. It's good. It's good to hear that, because that's not a lot about what I hear.
I was in Madeira, Portugal. I was in Prague buying things direct with Bitcoin. I mean, I could buy my beef in Colorado with Bitcoin. But what I wanted to speak to is I think of, and I've listened to a lot of Michael Saylor, and Saylor talks about, so Saylor talks about currencies collapsing into the dollar and properties collapsing into Bitcoin. And I think that stable coins, they're called stable because they're stable in dollar terms, but that is oxymoronic because the dollar is obviously not stable. Yes. So I think that the adoption of stablecoins on behalf of the United States government is a way for the dollar to scale globally in the most energy efficient way. And that's why in third world countries, just like you mentioned, people are adopting stablecoins, because if you're in Venezuela, like, you would much rather have dollars than Bolivar. I believe it's Bolivar. That's
right. It is Bolivar.
You'd much rather have dollars than Bolivar. And if you can get that on a smartphone, then that's a much more effective medium of exchange. And I love what Mike Maloney says. And then I've watched a lot of Mike Maloney, and especially in my early journey down the economic rabbit hole. And I think in some of his interviews or podcasts, his producer would even push a buzzer every time he referred to the dollar or any other currency as money. And it would go, it's a currency, it's not money. And He's right. And so personally, I believe that gold and Bitcoin are the only 2 things that I think of as money. I think gold was, the free market used gold as money. It's a commodity. It's based in nature and the laws of physics. And
the demand factor.
Totally.
Because honestly, if you have something that is used in one place and that demand goes away, you have nothing. If you have something that's used lots of places, then you have more, obviously you have more demand.
Yes.
So it doesn't go to zero.
So I think of Bitcoin as the world's first engineered money, the first thing that was engineered to be a money that actually, and highly probable to be successful. And if it is successful, it is the digital version of gold, capped in supply, bounded by energy, decentralized, secure.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it. and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.